All right, guys, welcome back. It's Friday, and I'm going to put together this quick piece in regards to finishing a wizard for Jellyfin and installing the FTP client on both sides. You know, on the server side here, and then we're going to run into on the client side. There's something I use called FileZilla, and it works pretty well. This is going to be the quick breakdown of the procedure that I went through to get those final things done. Number one is set up the FTP client. So on the server side, this is pretty much all I did. Sudo apt-get install vsftpd, and it goes through this download and install. It's very quick and it runs just fine. No issue with it. I did do this. I did create another user in Ubuntu just so I could dedicate that user on the client side using FileZilla. So I'll just quickly show you FileZilla, and it's right here. Okay, so right here. Okay, I'm connected to this Jellyfin server already, but I'll show you the site manager. Okay, these are the parameters. So whatever your host what your host IP is gonna be, I'm just using strict FTP, but I am using FTP over TLS, and you just simply put this stuff in here. Whatever username you created in Ubuntu, put it in there. And then just click OK, because that will save it under your sites. Okay, and then you're fine. So you click OK there, and then you connect. And I just use this right there, boom, and it'll connect. If it's the first time, it's going to ask you for a password more than likely. Anyway, I had set up some directories on the actual remote site, which is the Ubuntu site. Okay, and I did some transfers, and I made this one kind of the adult/normal movie, and then I did a kids one, and then I did a series one. Okay, so to get back to it, yeah, this is how I created the user, and that's the thing I used for FileZilla. Okay, then do a quick search on your server to see what groups are available. I just created a new group. I called it media-grp just for this purpose. Okay, and I did it just like this. And then, add the new dedicated user to the group. Okay. User mod-a-g. This is my group name, media-grp, and then the user that I'm adding to the group. Okay. All right. Then at that point, if you hadn't already, create the subfolders underneath the mounted directory. And what I mean by that, the mounted directory is going to be, if you look here, okay, MNT data is really where I'm mounting. Anything beyond that, so if I do an ls, I can look at the directories. Okay, kids, movies, series, those are directories that I created to segment my movie categories. Okay, so you'll do that, and I'll jump back in here. Okay. Yeah, I just explained I'm using MNT data. You can do what you want there. From there, give a group access to the directory and assign file rights to those assigned directories. Okay, so this was important. If you don't do this, FileZilla is going to just flat do nothing. But it pretty much did that to me on the last session, and it was because of a weird problem. I ended up having to delete my movies directory and recreate it and go through the motions again, and then it was fine. But it wasn't because I really wasn't doing anything wrong. It just knew I was filming, so it decided to give me grief. Okay. Okay, group access to the directory, assign file rights. Okay, so we're adding a group. Sudo change group. R is recursive. There's the group name. There's the folder I'm assigning to the group. Okay, and then I'm going to assign the rights. Change mod. Recursive again. 777 is like God mode. You can do 775 if you're, if you don't want to get crazy. That should be enough. 775 should be sufficient. Okay, to the exact same directory. This was super important, but later on, this will give you the ability to transfer files. But what I noticed was Jellyfin was not coming up with any files after I scanned the directory. And that's because I actually had to run this again with recursive. Once there was files there, I actually had to do it again, which was a little strange. Anyway, I'm going to test that out again once I start adding more movies to it. And if that's the case, there's something weird about what I'm doing there. But anyway, I had to do that again for it to propagate to the new movies. And then Jellyfin saw it fine, so I'll jump into Jellyfin to show you that right now. Okay, so kids folder, boom, that's the kids library. Yeah. And all the metadata and pictures are propagating just fine and dandy. Okay, so same with the regular one. And I had to just go here, dashboard, and then libraries, and then update those, scan all libraries. And it just instantly started going through, okay? And that's what we get. But, okay, getting back to this. Okay, we added the user to the group, create the subfolders underneath the mounted directories, like I said. Give group access. Yes. Assign the rights. Yes. And that's pretty much the end of it. I didn't have to do much aside from doing this again. And that was to each subfolder that I created in order for Jellyfin to actually figure out that I actually put stuff in there. So for some reason, it couldn't gain access to the file so it could look at it, because it has to do some sort of analysis to find out what it needs to go back and pull metadata, pictures, and stuff like that. So it wasn't, there were rights assigned to it, and I got to figure out why that may not have been enough. So I will go back and fix that directory rights problem, because I shouldn't have to keep doing this change mod recursive thing every time I add something, which I'm suspecting that may happen. Anyway, I will include this file as a guide so that you can continue on with that. Aside from that, yeah, this thing worked out pretty well. And aside from it working out well, I may change the actual FileZilla default directory where it actually lands. So here on this side, it lands in your home directory, which doesn't really help you out because that's not where things are. So I'll actually run something that will just stick me right to probably right here, which is very convenient. Anyway, that's the end of this video. Let me know what you think. It took me, I don't know, over the course of 3 days of playing around with this. Granted, I wasn't working on it 24/7, but I just did it piece by piece, and little by little it was all just coming together and overcoming problems as I went along, and yeah, I think we're good now. Anyway, Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next project. All right, guys. Take care.